Was sort of watching this, holistically. What is she saying? What does she look like? What's on the screen? So at the beginning, when she's talking about Biden and their record, our screen said, this is called the Chiron, the headline at the bottom. It said, Harris stands by Biden administration economic record. She is making it clear that she will embrace and be a continuation of Biden's economic policy, his record, what they've done. She offered no remorse, no regrets, no introspection about anything they've done. She continued to blame inflation on this fantasy price gouging idea. She had no additional thoughts on the economic situation in the country or what they've done beyond just saying, Joe Biden and I have done a great job. Now, if I were the Trump people, I would be salivating over the idea that that's how they are going to run the race. I don't believe it's tenable. I also thought it was interesting that she didn't take any responsibility at the end for telling the American people that Joe Biden was fine and he was strong. When we all know that's not true. That's why he's out of the race, and she's still standing by the idea that he was fine and he's strong and that he's fine today. Nobody believes that, and I just think at some point, then why isn't he running?
Because he's too old.
In parts of America, that there's a cultural antagonism against people who live in places where fracking is an issue that matters. So yes, it's about, whether or not, she cares about people like you, but I think this is a proxy for that.
I mean, it's thousands of jobs for people who live in Pennsylvania. And when you say that you support the Green New Deal, but you also support fracking, those two ideals are not consistent. The end result of supporting the Green New Deal is to end fossil fuels. You can't say I support this, but also, by the way, you can have your fracking too. And so for people in Pennsylvania, those skeptical folks that are in the middle, that 5% that may determine which way that state goes, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, well, is this political pandering? Is this political expediency? Is the vice president saying whatever she needs to say to potentially win, but she doesn't believe it? And we weren't clear. She did not give a clear or decisive answer in that regard.
So here's my reaction to Kamala Harris's, I don't know, awkward interview, disastrous interview. There's many ways you can call this interview. But to me, I don't think it was a good interview. One of the reasons why it wasn't a good interview is that as someone who's very, 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 very skeptical of Kamala Harris, this is why you should hear my opinion and why it's good to hear how the conservatives are taking this, is because we're more incentivized to disagree with Kamala Harris than to agree with her. So people in the middle, 50-50, may see where I'm coming from. One of the reasons why I'm very skeptical of Kamala Harris is the fact that she has not given no definitive answers. As you saw from the intro, my two favorite strategists on the CNN network, Scott Jennings and Shermichael Singleton, or I hope I said his name right, they perfectly encapsulate what are my concerns with Kamala. Kamala is a flip-flopper. Kamala is seems to me like a chameleon. Especially she didn't want to answer oh, when did you suddenly become black? And she didn't even give a clear answer. So I'm going to give a quick peek of that one, and then I'll come right back to this.
Ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump. Okay. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the kind of questions. This is how she almost answered, not every question, but for most questions, this is how she answered that. She gave some vague, same old playbook, blame Trump for something, Trump's fault that I couldn't pass this bill, and on to the next question. That's how the interview came. And it doesn't help her case that the interview was only 18 minutes and that CNN, it seemed like, as the time of me recording this video, I'm recording this like 5 in the morning. If they don't give out a full transcript, people are going to suspect foul play, bias, and this may be the only interview she ever does. Who knows? But I want to highlight something that criticism that I have or was made against me. One of the criticisms I got with my Kamala video is the fact that I focus too much on the fact that she has a lack of policy, yet I'm complaining about how her policy is going to make America worse when technically I'm not supposed to know. I don't know what her policies are. When I say I don't know her policy, this is what I'm talking about. Well, this is Whitley Yates. This is why it's important to get policy in writing. I agree, because how we all grew up. If it's not in writing, it ain't not true. I wouldn't say not truthful, but you can't really bet on it. August 16, 2024, Kamala, I'm going to provide first-time homeowners with $25K to assist with down payments on a new home. August 29, Kamala, it's a down payment tax credit. You will have to pay the $25K first. Confusion, right? When it's in writing, it's clear and you know exactly what was said, how it was said. There's no ability for you to just reimagine what you said last or misremember and none of that. That's why it's good to have stuff in writing. So this is my critique about people who said, "Oh, it's not important that she's supposed to have policy." Like this CNN anchor right here.
$540 million raised, $82 million in 1 week.
But will,
And so when,
but
so
will
when
you
you talk
acknowledge
about,
that there's? Will you acknowledge that there's no policy page on her website? And so how do people
when
know
did we
what she
start
really
caring
stands
about
for?
policy pages on websites when every single time
Since forever.
every time she steps to the podium, she talks about her policy in such a direct way that voters are responding.
Can you
Those are
tell
the
me
people
what her
that
border
ought to-
policy is?
Say it one more time.
Can you tell me what her border policy is?
Oh, she said on day one she would sign the bipartisan border legislation
That's somebody else's
that
policy.
J.D. Vance and Donald Trump has taken credit for killing or not
her
getting
policy
across
on,
the.
What's her policy on fracking?
She's going to introduce that.
Her anonymous
She's going to
staffers
introduce
Okay, so we
have
don't know.
said
So her
that she's
interview tonight,
reversed
her
policy.
interview tonight should give her the opportunity to share whatever policy agenda she wants, and as the process go along, she will continue to do.
So I think I've given enough of a prelude to like some of the stuff that I have a big concern about. Why it's important that she has a policy page on her website is the fact that it allows voters to actually hold her to account to things that she claims that she will stand on. But when it's not on writing, it's easy to reimagine or refix what you currently stood on. This is why it matters to have it on the policy page. And people who say, "Oh, when did we start caring about policy?" No. People always cared about policy. This was a norm in politics. Right? Look at when Biden ran for 2020. Look when Biden and Trump ran for 2020. Look at not Biden, Hillary and Trump 2016. They had policy pages on their website. That's a norm in politics. If you just got into politics, maybe you don't think it's a norm, but that's a norm in politics. So this guy trying to make this elusive argument, oh, she's gonna make it clear in the interview. That was before the interview. After the interview, I'm still not clear on what the hell she wants to do. This is her interaction with Dana Bash.
Way here in Georgia, you have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard.
Not in writing though. See, it goes back to it again because she's in the interview. She's referencing something that voters can't verify, voters can't check, voters can't determine if it's good or not. It's just this vague imagination, this vague perception. It's up to your interpretation, voter, on what that plan is. Your comprehensive plan could be mass deportation. She could just be thinking about, hey, we're just gonna give them more amnesty, or we're just gonna add more people on the border, which is not a good idea. Because at the end of the day, we want to stop the flow of migrants coming in, not add more personnel to process them in faster. The whole problem is the fact that there's more of them coming through the country. We don't want that. That's why majority of Americans support mass deportation. This is what I'm talking about. This is one of the reasons why Trump and J.D. Vance are taking credit for stopping the Bipartisan Border Act, because it wasn't going to be effective as actually addressing the problems that Americans are actually dealing with, which is people coming through the border. We want to stop the flow. It's like I said, the illegals coming through the border is like a faucet. If you see it's raining water out of the faucet, and Kamala's Harris plan is, oh, we need more personnel, aka we need more buckets to take the water. We're like, yo, just close the flow. Let's cut off the flow. This is the differences of approach, and this is why it's good to have the thing in writing. Because then you can change your mind. If you don't like the way people, like if people ask for more details, and then you could flip flop based on who your audience is. This is why it's important to have the policies in writing. Because then when you say, "Oh, I'm against fracking" to one audience, and then you say you're for fracking with another audience, people can go to your policies and be like, "Yo, you said you're against fracking. Hey, you said you wanted to limit fracking. But when you don't get specifics, it's easy to play vague games like what Kamala Harris is trying to do. And this is why one of the reasons I don't think she'll have a policy position by the time we go out to vote.
Include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
Now, all those things she said, it sounds nice. Yeah, it sounds like it can be a good idea. But a part of me is like, yo, government, you guys are not good at doing anything. You guys are not good at creating anything. Like you have, let's say, I remember there was a bill that passed for the transportation infrastructure bill, one of those bills that Biden passed. And y'all was supposed to create like, I don't know how many trains or something like that. And y'all was only able to make 10. Like the government is inefficient in creating anything. And the point is, the reason why people like me, we want tax cuts, we want all this stuff, because I believe I'm better at managing my money than someone else. I'm just saying, like, a lot of these policies that politicians like to push may sound good, but we need to educate ourselves or have a better understanding about the probability, the feasibility, and how these ideas are supposed to be implemented, because the implementation is going to show you whether it's a good idea or not. Giving $25,000 to people hand over fist, giving $100,000 loans in California to illegal immigrants when they don't contribute much to the tax base compared to Americans, and they get equal, like, make it make sense. How is it fair that Americans and legal immigrants are paying 100% of the pot, aka the benefits, the taxes that the benefits are pulling from, and illegal immigrants who has not contributed to the tax base has equal opportunity to it? That don't sound fair to me, right? It's like a tip pool. Have you ever worked a tipping job before? It's like someone who didn't work, who didn't bust the tables, who didn't do any customer service or whatever, and they get a piece of the pot. Everyone who contributed to that pot is gonna get mad. They're like, no, you don't deserve anything because you didn't contribute into this, and you're doing that with our tax dollars, and you're trying to say that's like, make it make sense. This is the kind of stuff that if you're vague, right? You only can get away with this type of vague explanation is. The reason is you're not voting for Kamala Harris based on policy. That's the only conclusion I can come to. You're not voting for Kamala Harris because of policy. You're voting for Kamala Harris because of something else. And I don't care what it is. I know it's an emotional reason. Either you hate Trump, you don't like Trump, you want a black woman, you voting for a divine eye, like what's his name, Ricky Smiley. Only rich people can afford to do all that stuff. But if you make less than six figures, and even if you are making six figures, because almost half of the people who are making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck, so even people making six figures can't afford to vote for Kamala Harris. Many Americans, y'all can't afford to vote for Kamala. I'm just saying, you don't have the luxury to vote for Kamala Harris because with the type of inflation she's going to bring in with government spending, because government benefits, you pay for it in inflation. I'm just saying. But I digress. Enough of my rambling. Let's take out the next clip for the interview.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years. Yeah. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy.
Good question.
And we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors.
So here's two things I'm going to push back on. she said she brought down inflation. True, they did bring down inflation, but who caused inflation? Who had the highest inflation in 40 years? Whose inflation rate? I remember there was 1 month in 20, I think it was 2022, 2021, where it was like 20%. I forget the percentage. 9%, 9.4% inflation rate. Who caused that? Oh, Joe Biden and her administration. So you had to fix a problem that you caused. Then you did the insulin thing. You made it into a bill, but technically Donald Trump did it first. But then Joe Biden, first 100 days of office, reversed those executive orders that Trump put in. You can find a clip of Trump mentioning this insulin, and it seemed like they're really good at stealing ideas. Like, right, they remove your stuff, and then they just rebuild their stuff and say, "Look, I did that too." I don't know, but I digress.
Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited, I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have...
Government has no control over that, right? I know. Like, look, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Growing up in Little Haiti, right, or around Little Haiti, I didn't actually was in Little Haiti, but I was close enough. I knew women that they had 6 kids. They were getting $18,000, right? $18,000 tax credit. They still living in poverty. So I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think the child credit is actually doing anything really. I think all you're really doing is redistributing wealth because end of the day, the bottom half of America don't pay little to no taxes at all. I'm just saying when the top 10% of Americans and the top 10% of taxpayers are paying damn near 80, 70% of the tax revenue. So most of the tax money is coming from the top. Less of the money is coming from the bottom. I'm just saying, you can get mad about those facts, those statistics, but I'm just saying the top taxpayers, the top half of the America is paying for the bottom half of America. And she wants to give the bottom half of America more money.
American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work.
I don't know. That sounds a lot like what Trump was doing in his first administration, American First, right? And at the end of the day, Kamala Harris has been in Congress actually in government for 34 years. And now I'm just hearing this. So I don't know. But I mean, it's pretty bad with the fracking thing. Like, this is the kind of flip-flopping that a lot of conservatives point out about Kamala Harris. And I'll give you a clip of CNN fact-checking her. And they bring up the same kind of thing, too, is that in 2020, she mentioned that she will keep her word on fracking. So if she's saying stuff like, I'll keep my word on fracking, hey, in 2020, you said you'll ban fracking. So which is it? Let's take a look.
Not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. So let me take you through this kind of saga. So here's what she said at a CNN climate town hall in 2019 on the subject of a fracking ban.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
That was quite clear. So she ended her 2020 presidential run in December 2019. The only debate she participated in 2020 was the general election debate with then Vice President Mike Pence. And I went over the transcript of that debate tonight. Nowhere in there does she make clear that she had abandoned her previous support for a fracking ban. Rather, she repeated that Joe Biden, the head of the Democratic ticket at the time, would himself not ban fracking. So listen to what she actually said in that 2020 debate.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking.
So it makes perfect sense that at the time she was speaking on behalf of Biden, the president, not the vice president, sets administration policy. But maybe other people feel differently. I certainly did not hear anywhere in there Kamala Harris saying that she personally had abandoned her previously expressed 2019 view. Rather, again, she was speaking for Joe Biden.
I never did so much clips in my life, but that's how much of a flip flopper she is, and I do this to really hammer home the point that this is why I don't trust Kamala Harris. End of the day, if I don't know what you stand for, I just go for the guy I know who does stand for something. Hey, okay, Donald Trump stands for this, economics, inflation, make America safe again, make America healthy again, secure the border. Okay, I'll vote for that. So on, hey, what can I agree with? Who do I agree with more? That's how I vote. Who do I agree with more? But as you can see, the question didn't stay there. Stop there. Sorry. Bash put Harris on the spot after her shifting stance on fracking. Harris had previously stated in 2019, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. Now she claimed, I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020. But she was speaking for Biden, which I just showed you that I just showed you the clip of. So which is it? This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. This is crazy, right? I could end off the video just right there, but I want to end the video really on this point. Is their day one priority, and this idea that, oh, we're not going back. Let's go.
That right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID.
And the funny part is, during Biden's administration, I think more people died of COVID than Trump's administration. And Trump was the one who had less information in dealing with COVID than Biden. I'm just saying, like, this is what I'm talking about. Not going back. Like, what are you talking about? But, let's hear her out.
The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump.
Not COVID? If the economy crashed 2017, if the economy crashed 2018, if the economy crashed 2019, I would have agreed with you and say, yes, because of mismanagement for Donald Trump, the economy crashed. But 2020, what happened in 2020? COVID. What was going on during COVID? States were shutting down. Economies were shutting down. People were working remote. People were getting disrupted in work. People were scared to work. This is why Trump had to pass the stimulus package the first time, because no one wanted to work and everyone wanted, it was common consensus to push those bills. But, you ignore all that context because, you're being political here. But I expect that from you. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm not going back to this.
Of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%.
Rescue America, but she talks about rescuing America, but during the first year, they had record inflation, highest inflation rate in 40 years. We can't. So let me get this straight, Harris. When you came into office, the inflation rate was like 1.4%. You got into office, you came to rescue America, and you made it jump on average 7% inflation rate. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You had the highest inflation rate in 40 years, but you came to save America. Yeah, it sounded like you came in and made America's lives harder. This is why I'm not going back to voting for Democrats. This is why you're not going, like, people don't want to go back into supporting the current administration. This is why they don't want to go back to supporting Bidenomics. Because you said America Rescue Plan, and then it became the American Inflation Plan after 1 year. You had to redefine recession. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to the media playing cover up for the government. This is what you're supporting if you support Kamala Harris. But I think I made my point enough. I think it was a bad interview. I think it was a vague interview. I don't think anyone known anything differently than they did before. I don't think she had really made anything clear about where she stands or what she believes. It seems to me she's just trying to be a chameleon, right? And that's why I opened up with that the clip of Dana Bass asking, "Hey, you know, Donald Trump said that you suddenly became black." She gave no clear answer. She just said, "Same old playbook." Okay, that don't mean like you said nothing. Word salad. But hey, I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? I'd like to hear it all in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.